Violinist So-jin Kim is the first Asian to be appointed the Associate Concertmaster of Germany's Munich Radio Orchestra. The year 2016 was the first year for the Yeosu International Music Festival and Ensemble, and it ended on a successful note. As its artistic director, she is currently preparing for this year's festivities. Join us as we learn more about So-jin Kim and her music world on Heart to Heart. Today's guest is violinist So-jin Kim, who creates musical exchanges with internationally renowned musicians at the Yeosu International Music Festival and Ensemble. Welcome to Heart to Heart. Would you first of all like to say hello to our viewers that are watching?
Hi, my name is So-jin Kim. I'm a violinist. It's great to be here, so thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. Now, I'd like to begin by saying congratulations as you were appointed the Associate Concertmaster of the Germany's Munich Radio Orchestra. So, congrats.
Thank you.
Must feel great. Now, this makes you the first Asian to take up the position for the orchestra, which is one of the representative German art troupes. So, how did you feel when you first heard of the news, or when you were asked about taking up the position?
So after my audition, I actually have been working with the group for a few years, so they knew me from previous auditions and just doing other projects with them. And when they wanted to have me on for the full season, it was great news because I really loved my colleagues. It's a great orchestra, and I also love the city, Munich. So. Yeah.
I heard that it's a very important position and a very complex role that you have to play. So what is the role or responsibilities of a concertmaster?
Well, the responsibility of a concertmaster is to be able to translate or take the message from the interpretation of the conductor and pass it on to the rest of the orchestra and your colleagues. And my role, which is the associate concertmaster, is to relay the message of the concertmaster to the colleagues next to you and behind you.
Right.
So it's a very delicate, nuanced position.
Yeah, very complex role, difficult role. So it's obviously not an easy job, and not anyone is given the opportunity to play the role of a concertmaster. It might be a bit awkward for you to speak about yourself, but what would you say are your charms, or what do you think made it possible for you to become the concertmaster, the associate concertmaster?
What I love about Germany and the classical music scene in Germany is that most of these orchestras with long traditions, have their own specific sound and color and a way of playing. So I guess the first thing is that the way that I interpret my music or the nuances that I prefer spoke with the members of the orchestra who decided to, have me on board as a part of their team.
So Germany's Munich Radio Orchestra is known as one of the representative German art troupes, as I've mentioned earlier. Could you tell us more about it?
So the Munich Radio Orchestra is part of the Bavarian Radio, and that's the South German radio station. And they have two orchestras. One of them is a big symphony orchestra, which is called the Symphony Orchestra of the Bavarian Radio, or the Bavarian Radio Symphony Orchestra. And the second one is the Munich Radio Orchestra, which is a smaller one. And they have a different role because they work mostly with singers, and they have a long tradition of recording operas. So, yeah, these two orchestras have different functions.
So when will you begin, to really start working as, or your activities as the associate concertmaster?
At the end of September.
End of September. That's very soon.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that project because we're doing a festival called festivities.She, and it's with great cellist Misha Maisky and pianist Vasil Say. So it's a very exciting project to start the season with.
Violinist So-jin Kim bewitches the global audience with her versatile performances. She has been appointed the Associate Concertmaster of Germany's Munich Radio Orchestra, so let us learn more about her new endeavors. So now your appointment as the Associate Concertmaster of the Munich Radio Orchestra is no surprise as you are hailed by critics. I mean, you're known to be like a genius. You create wonders and just
sure about that.
makes you feel awkward. But I'd like to ask when you began to play the violin, and I mean, was there a reason? How did you come to begin to play the violin? Like when and how?
Well, I dabbled a little bit in piano because we had a piano at home. I think I was maybe about 3 or 4. And when I turned 8, I saw most likely Sarah Chang playing on television with this like magnificent poofy pink dress. And I told my mom, I need to wear that dress. And my mom said, well, you're gonna have to work for it. And I said, okay, give me that violin.
Really?
Yeah, so that's actually how I started. But then when I first, got the violin and, played, like put the bow to the string and was able to play like my first note on it, it felt really amazing. I really loved that feeling. I was like amazed by what that felt like and what it sounded like, so I got hooked.
So you fell in love with it instantly. Yeah. But you played the piano from like age 3 or 4, so for like 4 or 5 years?
Yeah.
And then when you started the violin, you just fell in love with it?
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So you were born in Korea, but you went to the U.S. when you were in the 4th grade elementary school at a very young age, and you were accepted to the Juilliard School of Music at the age of 16, right? And you received both Bachelor and Master of Music degrees as a scholarship student. So you're accepted to, you start going to Juilliard Music School at 16, and you're a scholarship student, which is amazing. But soon you were appointed an adjunct professor of the Hanover University of Music, Drama, and Media. This was while you were studying their solo performance program. Would you say it's the norm for musicians? I mean, is it the norm or is it? Well,
when I was doing my solo class program at the Hanover Music Conservatory in Germany, I was already working as a concertmaster of the Lucerne Symphony Orchestra. So this program that I was doing is specifically designed for young professionals who are already like embarking on their career or already on their way to, being a professional, full-time professional musician. So I would have to say that it's not something that happens often, but it does happen in this particular program just because the level of the people in the program are already basically professional.
Right, but I mean, you were the youngest to be appointed as a concertmaster of the Lucerne Symphony Orchestra. This was when you were 24 years old? Just 24, so people were like, oh, she's a musical genius, So I'd like to ask about the experience. What was the experience like?
When I was 24, I never felt like I was that young.
That's true. When you're 24, you feel like
you've like grown up.
Old enough.
This is like the age where you think all the adults are, I did realize that it was a huge responsibility, but it was a great experience because it was my first job. And working in an orchestra is almost like working in a company because you work every day with a lot of people. And to have a leadership position was sometimes tough, but also it was something that I wanted. That kind of role musically is something that I was seeking for. So all in all, it was a great experience. And Switzerland is a beautiful country to live in.
Yeah. So you are active as a soloist, or mainly active as a soloist, but you do a lot of things, obviously. You'll be starting your role of Associate Concertmaster, for Germany's Munich Radio. orchestra and as you have for the Lucerne Symphony, what would you say is the difference between performing as a soloist and in an ensemble?
I think unless you're playing absolutely alone, like on stage, even when you're performing as a soloist, when you're a violinist, you're usually playing with someone else. Whether it's with an orchestra or whether it's with a pianist. And in the bigger picture of a composition, I still feel that whether you're a soloist or you're playing in an orchestra or you're playing chamber music, what you're playing is still just one voice from a big score of music. So I think the differences are minimal and maybe they're just maybe technical, that like pertains to your instrument. I think musically what you want to say, and if you are always thinking about the bigger picture of what you want to put out there, I think it doesn't really matter that much.
I think I understand what you're saying. Then do you have a preference? Do you prefer to perform, solo or with others? Which is more appealing to you?
Actually, that's really hard to say. Yeah, I think it really depends on the repertoire, and it also depends on who I would be playing with.
True. Yeah.
But I really do enjoy both. But I have to say that I really love playing chamber music.
Does it? I mean, I'm sure it happens. I mean, there always needs to be chemistry when you're not doing something alone. When you're working with someone, performing with, many people, or just even a single person. What happens when there is no chemistry? Are there times where you often, find no chemistry between you and the other performers?
Yes. Because playing chamber music is just like talking to someone, but just with your instrument. So of course it happens once in a while that that person's musical world doesn't really like go very well with how you want to play something or your interpretation of it. But but that's also a huge learning process and a great like creative like development for yourself as well, to see how that person came to have that interpretation and to understand what that person wants to do and to try to either do it or to try to convince that person to meet you halfway or whatever that is. That's a big fun process.
Yeah, very optimistic. Now, early this year, you released an album worldwide. So could you please tell us about this album that you released?
Yeah, that was actually my first album, so my debut album, and I waited quite a long time to do that. And I recorded it with a fantastic pianist and a great friend of mine, a Chinese-Australian pianist named David Fang, and he's coming to the Yeosu International Music Festival this summer. The album is titled The Grand Duo because the three pieces that I recorded on the album, all the three pieces have a very beautiful dialogue between the violin and the piano in equal ways. which is why I needed a wonderful pianist to collaborate with me. But yeah, it was a very exciting project, and I'm really glad that it's out.
I wonder, though, why did you wait so long to release your very first album, to record one?
Well, I guess because you're always changing as a person, and you're always changing as an artist. And you know, if your creative input is something that has something that's 100% you, and you put it out there, and it can't change, but you keep changing.
Oh, I see.
You have that fear of, you know, looking back on it and just like, you know, regretting with that, you know, evidence sitting there. Well, I mean, I had that fear, but I guess I got over it.
Or perhaps you were waiting for the very, you know, the perfect timing, the perfect time to do this?
Yeah, the perfect time and the perfect collaborator and the perfect pieces of, you know, music. And yeah, it all came together at the right time.
Yes.
Violinist So-jin Kim was born in Yeosu City, Jeollanam-do Province. As the founder of the Yeosu International Music Festival and Ensemble, she is leading the music festival with her determination to make Yeosu City gain recognition as Asia's Salzburg. Artistic director So-jin Kim tells us about the Yeosu International Music Festival and Ensemble.
Now, you're the artistic director of the Yeosu International Music Festival and Ensemble. This was, I guess, a music festival that you founded in 2016. So what inspired you to begin this music festival?
It's always been a really big dream of mine to be able to invite friends and musicians that I love. And that I really want to play with, to invite them and to be able to program music that I know that we would love to play together in a place that's very close to my heart. I mean, and that's basically what happened with Yeosu because I was born there, and both my parents are from there. They're, you know, my grandparents, all of my grandparents are from that area. So it's a dream that I've always had, and I almost still can't believe that it's happening.
So how is the Yeosu International Music Festival and Ensemble different from, let's say, other music festivals? What would you say is particularly special about this music festival?
I think up until now, every single artist that I've invited, I know them very well. I know how they play, and that's a huge part of what goes into my decision making. Just trying to, it's like piecing puzzles together. I know people from different areas, you know, I mean, different parts of the world that I've worked with, and it's really exciting to be able to introduce certain people to each other and to see what kind of chemistry happens there. And I've been trying to keep it very young, and also not be tied down to maybe the most well-known names, but I am convinced that as musicians and artists, they can really move people with what they do, which is the most important thing for me.
Right. Is that what you mean by keeping it young?
I guess I meant with age.
Oh, okay.
Maybe just like my generation of musicians. Yeah, I've been trying to, because it's mostly my friends.
Right, right. I heard that last year's Yeosu International Music Festival and Ensemble was a huge success. All the tickets were sold out. So what do you think was the major, I guess, success factor behind this?
I think it was something that this city probably was looking for, because what I really liked about going to other music festivals abroad was that it was like the town's party, you know. Everybody was always looking forward to it every year, and you know, they were looking forward to some returning artists, and they were looking forward to meeting new artists, and they were really excited about these concerts, and there was like a real feel of a community, and I guess that's really what I wanted to create, and it somehow got through last year to the people who live there, and that was that was a big surprise, and it was very heartwarming, and I was very thankful that so many people were excited.
Yes, I mean, obviously, as I've mentioned, all the tickets were sold out last year, so I'm sure that people, the audience that are planning to go to this year's music festival, you know, they have pretty high expectations.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, last year we played 2 concerts in the smaller hall and 1 concert, or 2 concerts in the smaller hall and 2 concerts in the big hall. And this year we're only doing 1 concert in the smaller hall and 3 in the big hall.
Oh,
just
I see.
because, hopefully.
So, what kind of
continued
programs
success.
are there, or could you tell us about the programs, what the audience can expect?
So on the first day, which is August 23rd, it's called Emotions and Passion. And I think it's a program comprised of like Piazzolla, Arensky, Brahms, and it's a program where you can, I feel like it connects well with the Korean emotions, you know, because Korean people can be very emotional and passionate, and this music really speaks to the heart in terms of feeling, you know, those kinds of emotions. So I think it's a very easy way to be introduced to classical music as well. And even if you're a classical music lover, there's the extra factor that one of the pieces on it is probably a very, very rarely heard piece on stage. The second day, on the 24th, is for young performers who are from Yeosu.
Oh,
Yeah, so we've made a stage for them. They could be studying abroad, they could be studying in Korea, but they're, you know, all originally from Yeosu. And I think it's a really nice opportunity for them to get to play in a big hall in their hometown, you know, over summer vacation. And on the 25th is actually the 100th year anniversary of Leonard Bernstein, the great American composer and conductor. And I've put together a little program around his most beloved West Side Story suite for violin and piano. It's arranged for violin and piano. I've put together a program around Bernstein, composers that affected his life, and, you know, some pieces that had special meaning for him. And on the last day, everybody who played in the festival come together, and we literally play together. We play a big 13, 14-person chamber ensemble piece at the end, and even the second piece on the program is for an octet, which is for 8 people, and the 2 pianists who are invited, they actually play 4 hands, so they sit side by side and they play together. Wow. So it's a nice way to bring the whole festival together and, you know, bring it to an end. So.
Have artists that have, I guess, come to take part in last year's and the year before that, have many of them wanted to return, come back? How did they like their experience? I mean, they're staying in Korea, they were visited Korea.
Right. I mean, they loved it. Some of them are coming back, actually, yeah. But I think for the first timers, they really enjoyed the food. They really enjoyed the food. I'm not sure if they enjoyed the crazy, muggy, hot weather. But they were very impressed by the beautiful hall, the Yeosu Hall in Yeosu, and the surroundings. You know, Yeosu has like 365 islands around, you know, and I think it was really nice for them to see old friends as well. You know, it was like a big, huge reunion, and it's such a great thing that all the people that I went to school with, that I've enjoyed playing with, that they're doing so well, and we can come together and make great music together and have a wonderful time.
This may be a difficult question to answer, but of the many, many reasons you could think of, could you just pick 2 reasons as to why people should come and enjoy, check out the Yeosu International Music Festival and Ensemble?
I think it's definitely a festival that will introduce new faces in classical music. Maybe performers that are not necessarily performing in Korea very much, but well known in other parts of the world, like America or Europe, and I think it's a chance to be able to meet these musicians and experience the music that they create.
All right. And finally, would you please tell us about your future plans?
My future plans. Yes. So after the festival, I go back to Germany and start my post in Munich.
Yes.
But at the same time, I have a recital tour coming up in Italy in October. And also I come back to Korea in November for a recital in Seoul Arts Center on the 18th. Okay. So yeah, I'm very excited for that as well.
So our viewers should keep that in mind. For viewers that are watching in Korea, that's November 18th, was it?
Yes, November 18th.
Okay, November 18th. So-jin will be returning to Korea to perform. I mean, just listening to the things you do, how you continue to strive to challenge yourself, you know, doing new things. I think it's amazing. You have so much energy and passion. I could feel it. I would like to wish you the best of luck in everything you do in the future. Thank you for joining us on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks.